All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television show in the history of the universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I am going to be reviewing Miracle at St. Anna by James McBride. Now, this book, I was just in the bookstore the other day and I just picked it up off the shelf on a whim, never having heard of it or the author, and I just read the first 2 or 3 pages and I'm like, I gotta buy that. That's really a great hook and I'll tell you about that in a second. But let's talk about the cover of the book, because I love graphic design and cover illustration. I think this is a pretty cool cover. It's just pretty simple. It's got our soldiers here, our World War II soldiers. And then on the back, it's got a great little photo of the author there, James McBride. And so, what is it about this book that hooked me? I was just browsing a bookstore, and once in a while you pick up a book just based off of, that sounds interesting, never heard of it. Read the back of it, just read a portion of the back of it, then I opened it up and read the first few pages. I was like, that's fucking dope. I gotta figure out what the rest of this story is about. So, the opening that I read that so intrigued me was set in 1983 in Harlem, New York City. And it is about Hector Negron, a Puerto Rican dude living in Spanish Harlem. He is a postal employee, and he works there at a post office in Harlem. And as he's working at the post office, a dude comes up to to buy some stamps, and Hector recognizes the guy. He recognizes the diamond ring the man is wearing, and this brings up a flood of horrific memories instantaneously. And he pulls out the gun that he always carries for self-defense. He pulls that pistol out, shoots the man in the face, blows his face off, and murders him right there in the post office. Hector just shoots the dude that just wanted to buy stamps. Well, this is a mystery. Why did he do it? What happened? Comes to find out in the investigation, they go to Hector's house and they find this weird head of a statue, like a marble statue. It's a head, and they take it to an appraiser, and the appraiser says, "Oh my God, this is worth millions of dollars. The head of this statue. It's like you can tell it was just a statue at one point, but this is just the head of it." And it's like, this is the missing head from a very famous bridge in Florence, Italy, where there were all these statues, and during World War II, one of the heads got blowed off of the statue, and now they find it in this Hector's little Harlem house, Spanish Harlem house, after a murder that he committed in 1983. And so then the story, that was the scene that intrigued me. I'm like, I got to find out why this dude had this very rare, priceless piece of art that had gone missing since World War II in his house in Harlem. Turns out that Hector was a soldier in World War II, and that's where things take us. Then we have the rest of the book takes place in World War II in December of 1944 in Tuscany, Italy, in the Apuan Alps. I'd never heard of these before. This is one of the cool things about reading, is this book. And I've been to Italy. I've been to northern Italy. I just didn't know that there were the Apuan Alps. And they're not by the regular Alps. They're like down south a little bit in Italy, like south of Tuscany, south of Milan. But they're like pretty big mountainous peaks. And they were pretty pivotal in World War II, and a very, very brutal battle took place. A very bad massacre took place in St. Anna, which is called, well, this is what the book is based off of. A small village in these Apuan Alps. One of the things I like about reading these kind of books is I started to Google every place that was mentioned in the book, and I learned so much about that part of Italy just for doing that. Things, and I thought that I knew quite a bit about Italy. I just did not know about this region at all. At all, nor its history in World War II, nor the massacre that took place here, nor the soldiers that, the American soldiers that were present for that. And it was actually the Buffalo Soldiers, the 92nd Regiment of the U.S. Army, the Buffalo Soldiers, who were all African American soldiers. The whole 92nd Regiment was nothing but African American soldiers, and they were the ones there during the massacre of St. Anna. So the book started. Once we flash back from the murder that takes place in 1983 in Harlem to 1944 in December, we meet this character named Sam Train. He's this big dude. He's the one that's found this head. I'm only not going to get too much into the plot beyond this. He's the original soldier that we see that has that has noticed that the statue got blown up and the head rolled away, and he picked it up and he carries it with him for a while. Well, I won't. That's the only thing I'm going to say about that, because the head trades hands back. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about but just James McBride. I'm talking about the landscape. I've been to Italy, and it seems like it felt like it's my favorite place in the world, folks. I felt like I was on an alien planet. The trees and the leaves and the rocks, they all seem to be made of different colors that I'd never seen before. And James McBride does such a great job of everywhere he takes us in Italy. He describes the landscape with such care and beauty. It's just, and not only that, but just the mystery of the history of the landscape and the myth of almost this like a fairy tale mythical place that these soldiers find themselves in, just surrounded by such beauty in these Apuan Alps and these little villages, and yet they're fighting such grim circumstance. And the place has like this gritty, realistic, grim, horrible, brutal side to it, where they're fighting the Nazis, and the Nazis are not good. And but James McBride just does such a great job of capturing that. So rather than just me babble on aimlessly about the plot, I'm going to read what the back says about the plot, because it really sums it up well without giving us any spoilers. Anyway, as World War II draws to an end, 4 Buffalo soldiers from the United States Army's Negro 92nd Division find themselves separated from their unit and behind enemy lines in Italy. Risking their lives for a country in which they are treated with less respect than the enemy they are fighting, they discover humanity in the small Tuscan village of St. Anna di Stasima. Yeah, St. Anna di Stasima, which I Googled, and it's a real place. In the peasants who shelter them. So they discover humanity in the town and within the peasants who shelter them, and in the unspoken affection of an orphaned child. And they find a newfound faith in humanity. And even in the face of unspeakable tragedy, they learn to see the small miracles of life. Now, I Googled all the stuff that happened in here, and it's based on real things. The massacre at St. Anna, one of the worst massacres in World War II. Just crazy stuff that I did not know about, that I am certainly glad I know about now. And this book is touching and moving and action-packed. It is one of the better war novels that I've ever read. I just absolutely loved everything about this thing. I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. The only thing that I wish was different about it is it could have been a little bit longer. There's a lot of characters in here that I would have liked to have gotten to know just a little bit better. And, not just the 4 Buffalo soldiers and the orphan boy and a few of the villagers that take center stage, but there's a cast of other people in here that are just, I kind of wish I would have got to know a little better. I read this, and halfway through the book, I was like, God, This would make a great film. This is so cinematically written, and the pacing and the action scenes and everything were so cinematic. I'm like, this would make a great film. And then I finished the book, and I'm like, God, that would have been such a cool film. How come nobody's filmed this? And then I started researching in the book, and there was a film. It was made into a film. Not only that, it was made into a film by one of my favorite movie directors, Spike Lee. And as I was looking through it, I was like, okay, it came out in 2008, and it was called Miracle of St. Anna. It's about a 3-hour long World War II epic movie, which would normally be on my radar 100% and something I probably would have went and saw a million times in the theater. And for some reason, once I saw the trailer, I YouTubed the trailer and I saw it, and I was like, okay, this vaguely looks familiar to me. And then I started to read some of the reviews of the movie, and apparently it was like a $50 million production that only made like 5 million. They'd lost their shirts on this, but it got really bad reviews. The trailer looked cool. And maybe it's something that I was on my radar back at the time. It was sort of like shit on with the reviewers, and maybe I was just like, okay, I'm not going to go see it. And then it just disappeared out of thought and memory, right? I think that's what happened. Pretty sure that's what happened. Now, though, I think I'm probably just going to go ahead and watch it and see. Because the trailer looked really fucking cool. And, maybe rediscover something that I had absolutely forgotten about. Because the book was good, and if they filmed the film, if Spike Lee did and some of the reviews say that there are good moments, and some of the battle scenes are as good as Saving Private Ryan. So I don't know what happened, why the film tanked so bad, but maybe I'll give it a go and watch. Hey, if you've seen the film, drop a note in the comments and let me know what you think. So what did I give this? 9.5 out of 10? I can't remember. Anyway, it's a good book. Surprisingly, I just came out of nowhere and I read it and liked it and stuff.